There we go. We can unmute ourselves now. What's going on, everyone that's watching? Welcome back to CKQ Podcast. My name is Clement. I'm your host, and welcome to my show where I bring people on the panel and we talk about some interesting topics. For doing a little housekeeping, if you're coming in, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. If you really like the content, subscribe. And yeah, let's just get into it. How you guys doing?
What's going on?
Let's introduce the panel. We have E Black, aka Ernest. How you doing?
What's good?
And then we have Madison. How you doing?
Good. I hope everyone's doing well.
Awesome. And guys, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for hopping in to have some uncomfortable conversations. So, let's start with the first topic of the night. Is it more beneficial for young men to focus on work and finding purpose than it is? Xavier.
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm chilling. How you doing?
I am fantastic. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you. Let me know
Awesome.
if my mic sounds okay and all that.
How do you sound to you guys?
He sounds great.
Yeah, you sound good. You sound good. I like your setup, man. I'm jealous of your mic, honestly.
This is old, man. I've had it since like 2012, I think.
Okay. By the way, that little intro music, that was Xavier's work, actually. So,
oh, really?
Anyone watching, if you guys on the panel, if you're ever interested, the man creates some pretty nice beats.
Thank you.
Nice.
I appreciate you sharing
Awesome.
the music. What song did you use?
Don't worry, you got to rewatch to listen to it. So yeah, you'll be good.
I'll do that.
But yeah, on to the first topic of the night. Is it more beneficial for young men to focus on work and finding purpose than it is to be dating and sex? E Black.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
I think obviously men should be focusing on work. You have to understand that building yourself to a standard that can give you other opportunities. However, you do need to have the repetitions in. You can't assume that you work 80 hours and then you're going to just meet a woman. You will get the woman, but you need to have the repetitions in terms of getting to know a person. So, yes, it is more in focus. It's more important to focus or have young men focus on working, but then at the same time, you need to balance it more, like not at least once a week, trying to get the women that you foresee that you may want to have a future with.
So if they're spending their time focusing on work, you're saying they're putting how much time would you say they should be putting into working?
Depending on the age, at 18, I've been working since I was 16. So I've always had a job. And then when I was out of school, I ended up having 2 jobs. So I've pulled in 70-hour work week. So, I think it's as much as you can. Realistically, if you don't have any children, I don't foresee any reason why you're not doing anything else but working. If you're not, I don't really see it.
So then women shouldn't really be a priority.
Yeah, the women shouldn't be a priority, but you do need to, like I said, make an attempt.
Oh, that fine line, that balance.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, if that has to be, if you're in traffic and you see a fine lady in traffic, you have to
shoot your shot. Shoot a red light, hop out your car real quick.
Yes.
Excuse me, man. Here's my number.
If you're getting coffee and the girl at the cash register, shoot your shot there.
Shoot your shot. All right. Listen,
because what's going to end up happening is you're going to be you're not going to have any type of game at all. And then you're going to get used because you're not putting in at least the mental reps and the reps that it takes to actually, get the women that you want, because there's some cougars out here. They'll put some claws in you and they'll take your money.
Okay. Let's hear it from a woman's point. Maddie.
All right. Well, I definitely think it depends on what type of relationship the man wants.
Oh boy, the controversy.
I think it depends because some men want to be a provider and some men want a partnership. So I think if you want to be a provider, then it's better to establish yourself. So then when you get in a relationship, the boundaries and the dynamics are understood. And if you want a partnership where you can kind of build together and use, both of each other's income and all of these extra things, I think then you can date and you can focus on dating and other things. I think if you don't want to be a provider and we're in 2021, a lot of people are kind of confused and don't really know what they want. So if you don't really want that provider role, then I think you can focus on dating. But for men who are wanting to pursue that, I think it's best to hold off.
Let me ask you this. Do you think more women would want a guy that is a lot more of that provider role?
I think a lot of women are confused. I think deep down they do
You
want
want to say, if you keep saying that, I mean, women might come after you. So I didn't say it. Anyone watching, it wasn't me. But go on. Go after the women. I want to hear it.
I do. I think a lot of women and men are confused because there's so many options and social media is so saturated and you think you can have your cake and eat it too. But deep down, I do think a lot of women do want a provider, but I don't think a lot of women want to really admit that because we're in this equality. I get my own, I don't really need no one type of world. So I don't think a lot of women will admit it. But
so they wouldn't really. You think a lot of women wouldn't really admit what they actually want then?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we want to be. I think because we're in a sense kind of manipulated by social media because you see so much stuff and you're like, I want to be a power woman and I don't want to I don't need a man and I want to do this, that, and the third. I think we're kind of just getting so deep into social media that it becomes kind of delusional and we don't understand truly what we want at the end of the day. A lot of us don't. And I think that's why we don't admit what we really want because we don't take the time to find out what we need and what works and what the timeline is. We don't really take the time to look at that.
Do you guys have any questions towards that? Oh, E-Black, so go ahead.
Did she answer what she wanted?
Did I answer?
Yeah.
Oh, what I want?
Yes.
I want a provider. I have a provider. And I know what I want as a woman. I think
do you think you are the common or the anomaly when it comes to women?
I want to say the anomaly, but I think a lot of women try to say that, but I feel like I am.
I swear I'm special.
I swear.
So you definitely from my understanding, you have a man who is taking care of, I'm guessing 90 to 100% of the bills.
Yes, I will say that, and I think that what helped me to get there is just tap. I'm really traditional person, and I really like tapping into my femininity. I think men and women are different, and I think that that's a beautiful thing because we both have different things we're really, really good at. And so I think just it kind of just came to me. I wasn't really trying to search for it or focusing on that much so, but I'm more of a traditional mindset person.
Okay. Xavier, let's get you in on this. Mr. Nice mic, nice setup. I see that guitar back there. You flexing out here?
There's a couple. I think I agree with a lot of both points that E-Black and Madison made. But first of all, I do believe that men should focus on work and raising their worth, their self-worth, and their value, so that because ultimately I agree that I think like biologically we're set to be providers and protectors. Although in today's society, things are confused, and you can choose to do choose to live out whatever role you prefer. But I think it is important also to find a good balance. So your priority should be to work and increase your self-worth, but you should, like E-Black said, put the reps in and practice, how practice treating women right. And if you just so happen to find the right woman at an early age, you can kind of do both, work and raise your value, and also start a family. You know, I've met a lot of people who started families young and are able to work and increase their value, increase their family's value. But also, like Maddie's point, it's kind of like you have to know what you want. If you do want a partnership where you kind of build something with a woman, then, you know, if you want that, then that's going to be your priority, to find that person that's going to help you build you know, what you want to build. But ultimately, I do agree that, like, you kind of have to man up and put your reps in, get your money right, get yourself right, before you're even valuable. You know, ultimately, I think that you know, women do kind of naturally want a man who at the very minimum knows what he wants. You know, even if you're not in the position to be able to provide, you should know what you want and know whether you want to provide or if you want to build something up with someone, with a partner.
So they'd much rather see that potential in you as opposed to you just kind of being content.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you should ever be just content with where you're at. You should always strive for more. Even if it's not a lot more, you know, you always need to have a purpose. You know, like, I think that goes to the point where you ask, you know, is it more beneficial to work and find your purpose? Some people find their purpose at a very young age, so they work towards that purpose. But if you're, you know, 24, 25 years old and you don't know what your purpose is, I think that you're not going to be valuable to a partner. You know what I mean? Because you know, you rely on that person to help you find your purpose, and I think that is everybody's responsibility to find your purpose on your own.
So now, with life moving the way it is, with the amount of social media, with the amount of a lot more women saying, "Oh, we want equal partners," even if they don't mean it, they will keep saying, "We want equal partners, equal partnership. We want to be 50-50." Is it a lot more confusing for guys as to, or even young boys, as to which direction they should be going in their future, or how they should be propelling themselves through life?
I think
that's a question for all three of you guys. So shoot for it.
I think it is a little confusing for. I mean, I think in general, gender roles are becoming more and more like non-binary. You know, there's this whole spectrum that people keep talking about. But and you know, I think it ultimately, you know, we do live in a free society where if you want to make that choice for yourself, then, you know, by all means go ahead and do that. But I think that we do have our you know, our kind of set biological ways that, you know, we tend to, that especially today, we're straying away from. But you know, I do think it is confusing for boys. But ultimately, as long as you have those the examples of people to follow their footsteps, you know, you can take yourself away from that confusion and find your purpose and find your direction.
I think that's a little tough. Will you guys want to add into that?
I think if you really think about it, it's being trained to, it's being trained right now that I'm going to speak from the man's point of view. Most men are being told that right now to accept a woman who wants to do work, who wants to include inside the household in a financial way. And now you're having young men saying, okay, I'm willing to give up this type of role that I play to get the attractive women. And it's confusing because it's actually anti that. Most women don't want that. So there's no reason why you should be including that in your game or your.
But then most women will keep saying that, though.
Yes, but that's why you have to have older men, or you have to have values to say, hey, I don't care what the world's going on. I'm going to focus on what I want and the type of relationships that I want. I've always been that type of guy since a younger dating age. I've always been I pay for everything. Don't dig in your purse type of guy.
What a gentleman, you know?
but that's because, it's like, you know, I never associated myself with the weaker type of individuals. I understood what game was. I knew what game was. I knew it. Man, I knew these cats are just flexing just for flexing purposes. So I'm not gonna sit there and play along. And I realized that was a good thing, but I didn't know I didn't have to read a red pill manosphere book for that. You know, it just came naturally, and like I think it reflects in the women I got. So. So, you know.
There we go. Maddie, you want to add in?
Yeah, I definitely think it can be confusing for people. Like Xavier said, there's just so many options now just on relationship dynamics and everything. And touching base on what E-Black said, you know, I think that's why relationships are not working out as well as they used to, because we're like progressing, and a lot of women will say this, a lot of men will say that, but ultimately there's so many different choices that it can be confusing for anyone. And so naturally, I do think naturally, I think men do have that innate feeling to want to lead, and women have the, you know, innate ability to be feminine and submissive, which is a trigger word. Sorry.
yeah, that is. Be careful with that.
Madison is actually pretty dope. Where did you find her?
Listen, she's making the same kind of content. All right, she's dope. She's making her same kind of content, especially going out there for women. So I can only give the guy's point of view, especially on this channel. So what I really strive to do is to bring women on here that have a very different point of view from the guys, but still moving in the same direction as what most women would want. And yeah, thank you for that, Maddie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love talking to you guys. This is so fun.
I'm sitting here. I'm like, okay, what's
You know, it's funny. You find more and more. I feel like when you talk to people and women in real life, you tend to find a lot more women with Maddie's opinion. But when you watch TV and you're on social media, you see all these other opinions, and it's like, man, like. You know, I work in New York City, and it's obviously very liberal, and I have met a lot of people with kind of different opinions as far as, I guess like a very liberal and kind of more progressive quote unquote progressive mentality.
Yeah. You guys are saying all the trigger words today, all of them. You guys are laying it all out on the table. Liberal.
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 I mean, hey, it is what it is. But yeah, no, I think it is dope to, when you find that people that of the same kind of mental vibration and kind of opinions, especially when you see a female.
You're saying more women out there naturally think a lot more like Maddie.
I think so. I think that society kind of forces people to say a different opinion. It forces people to sway a certain direction. But I think when you talk to women, for instance, like this whole Snow White thing that's taking place. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Snow White ride in Florida, how they're trying to cancel the ride because of the non-consensual kiss that Prince Charming gives to Snow White to wake her up. Right. You guys haven't heard about this?
Okay. He should have wrote a letter, have her sign it first. Yeah, of course.
I'll be honest with you. I seen the headline, and then I seen non-consent kiss, and I clicked off whatever. I didn't know. I knew there was something out there about that, but I was like,
this not for me.
Yeah, no, I didn't read too much into it, but it was a topic of conversation in a group chat that I'm in with I think my brother, and it's about like 3 women in the chat, and they think it's just as ridiculous as I do. It's like, this is a story written, if I'm not mistaken, in the 1800s, or maybe even older than that. And it's like, I heard someone say an interesting, Dave Chappelle on the Joe Rogan podcast. He said, don't be mad at a picture because it wasn't taken today. Meaning like, you know what I mean? Like, why are you mad at that? Was a frame of mind back then, and even now, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that women still, like to have a Prince Charming come and sweep them off their feet, but it's like, with the way that that society's pushing things. They're trying to change that kind of direction. But I think you and I had this conversation the other day in the gym. I think that we have our innate
drive.
I keep using the word biology. Yeah, we have our innate drive, and we have kind of we have our set ways on how we act with each other, and I think that society's trying to confuse us for whatever reason.
I would almost disagree. I don't think more people believe that. I think women are starting to not want that role. They don't want to be swept off their feet anymore.
Fighting words.
I honestly believe that more women are wanting to actually take the man's role. I think that's because what you're saying is society is pressuring them to do that, but I think it's actually women wanting to take over a role in the household for control.
I agree that more and more women. I agree that more women than previously than years before want that role. I will agree with that, but I don't agree that the majority of women want that.
Oh yeah.
I think at the surface level, again, just kind of reiterating, I think at the surface level, women want that, and it sounds all good. But at the end of the day, if you keep asking them questions and you inquire about certain parts of their life,
dig a little deeper.
They'll go deeper, and they'll reveal that they need that provider and or want that provider to make the relationship work better. Because here's another trigger word, Kevin Samuels. I know
all of them. Get them out.
Oh no!
Man, I just started like a month ago. I'm gonna get demonetized just like that. That's it.
But I know he asks a lot of women go on there for some reason. They call into his show all the time, and a lot of the times they are saying they want something different, but he asks them so many questions to where they actually reveal what they want. And I think that's with anyone at a surface level. Yeah, we can say we want this, that, and the third, but in reality, what is our life looking like? How are things going? What's the reality of our situation, and what will make the relationship work? Can a woman, is it beneficial for the woman and the man to be out the home all of the time and the kids to not have, there's just so many things that go into it. And it's like at the end of the day, women might say they want that, but I really don't think that they do. And I've seen it firsthand, even with friendships that I have, and they're single mothers and they're like, I don't need a man, but then they're stressed and complaining and wanting a partner to help them out. And it's just like, you may say you don't want it, but what is the reality of your situation?
So Madison, how many single friends do you have?
That's what I was gonna go next.
I would say about 3 or 4.
Okay.
And, I try to keep my friend group pretty small, but about 3 or 4 single mothers in my
out of single mothers. Oh boy. So out of your friend group, how many people in your friend group? Your core friend group? 4.
I would say about in my core friend group,
core
4 people. So out of
4. So 3 out of the 4.
No, and so out of the core friend group, out of my core friend group, one is a single mother.
Okay.
Out of the people that I know and talk to,
acquaintances.
Acquaintances. I probably know about 4.
Okay. That's not too. I mean, it makes sense though, because you're. I'm assuming married.
No, not
married. Okay, all right, not yet, but on the way.
Yes.
So you're moving along with the people that have that similar mindset.
I'm moving.
You're moving. Your core friend group is people that have a similar mindset to. I would like to have that traditional role for a woman.
Well, so I am from California. I'm actually at my house right now in California, but I live in San Antonio, Texas. So the people that I hang out with, and I moved kind of when COVID was going on. So I guess I'm trying to say I don't have friends.
I wish I had a crying button.
I was looking at her furniture. I was like, hold on.
That's a provider mail.
I was like, hold on. Because that does not look like IKEA. And
I know.
it takes a lot. So now the picture is the curtain has been pulled back a little. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have friends, guys. I never have no. But I have a video actually on my channel talking about trying to make friends online because it's so hard. And I know we're going to talk about this a little later, but it's so hard to approach women and form a relationship in person. And so it's kind of like I have to try to go online or go on Facebook groups and stuff. But the people that I hang out with, I hang out with my sister a lot in Texas, and she does want to get married. She's engaged now, so.
Okay.
Yeah. That's good.
That's cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Dope. Awesome. I like everyone's answers. I definitely like everyone's answers. We're all around the same area with our answers. But let's move on to the next question. I think this one will be a little bit harder to answer. Young women should prioritize caliber of man and family future lifestyle over education. Xavier, chime in.
I feel like everyone should focus when they're young on their self-worth. So I disagree with, I mean, you should focus on what you want, you know, like I feel like it's important to make a decision on whether if you're a young woman and you know that what you want in the future is a family and you want to be a family woman, then sure. But I think that I think everyone should have the goal to educate themselves before forming a family, because I think that's just going to strengthen.
Well, that's what I said. I'm not saying to cut that out. I'm saying to prioritize, though. So prioritize family or your lifestyle for your family that you'd want over education. Meaning, if you want a family someday, prioritize making something work with a man that you'd want a family with over I'm going to go wholeheartedly on school.
Yeah.
Now, when you say young, what qualifies as a young woman?
Let's just say from high school and up.
I think that you should prioritize as a woman your education, because you can focus on your education for 3, 4, 5 years, and you're still a young woman when you're done. You know, at 22, 23 years old, you're still young, and you can focus on having a family then. You know, you don't have to necessarily focus on a career after focusing on your education, but I think that you're going to be more valuable as a mother, as a wife, if you're educated. Whatever field you choose to be educated in, I think that you're going to be able to be more valuable to your children and to your husband if you do focus on education at a young age.
Let me ask this now, because just like similar to what E-Black was saying, you as a man, even at a red light, you got to be shooting your shot because you got to be practicing, correct? So how can, if she's focusing a lot more on education, is it possible for her to also maintain a relationship with a man?
I think so, because it goes back to what I was saying earlier. If you prioritize having a family, you can, and let's say you're a young woman that's in an ideal relationship coming out of high school, and you want to focus on your education, and if you solely want to focus on your education, you might travel and you might have to break we've seen, I'm sure we've all witnessed people having to break up relationships because they choose to go to school far away, where they won't be able to maintain their relationship. But if you know that you're with the right person and you're coming out of high school, I think that you can go to a school that's close by so that you don't have to break that relationship up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But then at that point, that'd be prioritizing your relationship or significant other over your education.
I see what you're saying. That's a fair point. But I mean, well, I guess my point is, I don't think you should completely sacrifice your education to be.
And that's why I say I didn't put sacrifice, because I would never say for any kind of woman, any girl, to sacrifice her education, because education is important. And the world we live in now is very important for women to actually be able to hold themselves up on their own, because it is a rough world out here now, because the cost of living is expensive and it's only going up. So education is key. But at this point in time, I'm seeing a lot, especially, trigger word, Kevin Samuels, a lot of educated women call in on his show now haven't made it to the top tier of where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
But look around and there's no man.
Yeah.
And the last time they had a man that really, truly had everything or they gave themselves to was back in college.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided to pick education over actually prioritizing, making that work. It's a tough thing to do, of course. I mean, because it's going to be the same thing for men. I mean, I think that the act for women, the hard part for them is having to juggle now, like, okay, let me make this relationship work as well as let me try to also build myself up as like in my education. And the hard thing for men is like, let me prioritize my purpose and let me also try to make this relationship work. That's how I'm looking at it. And for at least for the way I'm looking at it, any woman that wants to prioritize a family or any woman that wants a family in the future should understand that for that to happen, you have to prioritize the caliber of man that you're going to want for your future.
Mm-hmm.
Because good men don't just show up out of nowhere.
No, I want to hear Madison. I want to hear Madison's answer on this. I think she looks like she about to.
She's like, what the hell are these men talking about?
The way her eyes got beaded and she was ready.
I'm always normally like I try to always understand from both sides, and I'm always kind of like political when I answer, but I think that there has to be a balance, because I think that if you prioritize, some women prioritize to the point of obsession, and it's like, oh my gosh, he doesn't have this, that, no, and you're just throwing people away, and it's the same. It's still useless if you are so obsessed that you can't settle, which I don't necessarily think settling is bad. That's a conversation for another day. But when you keep
that's a good question.
Yeah. When you keep throwing people away to the point where you're just running through people, I think it still is useless as prioritizing your education to the point of you being lonely at the end of reaching your career. So I think that there has to be a balance, because you do have to prioritize the caliber of a man, but not to the point where it becomes obsession and your standards are too high, and then you just are throwing good people away. I think you just have to find that balance.
Very political answer. Yes.
Very.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you made it to the presidency. I would vote you for 2024 or whatever.
Well, I think, I'm married, so I'm going to tell you a little bit of insight of my life. And I don't give relationship advice, because I said my wife played a dirty game of education over relationship. She thought that, she could end up, going to college, doing the career thing, and kind of like keeping me within range would work. Well, guess what ended up happening when we got married? She threw her degree away
and all of that,
and she became a housewife, and she's more fulfilled, and she actually she's a political science major, and she doesn't even want to do political science work. She doesn't want to she wanted to be a lawyer. She said, well, I didn't want to really be a lawyer. I just liked it because it would make money. And she said she didn't really want to she likes doing politics, but she doesn't like people. So
well, that's awkward.
So essentially, we have a whole bunch of thick books that are sitting on our bookshelf that have.
You guys look at it every now and then, drink some wine, laugh at. Oh, you remember when I wanted to do that?
we go hard about that, and but like I said, that's why I don't give relationship advice, because she almost lost me. Literally, it was 1 second on the shot clock, and she ended up like saying, time out.
Yeah. She switched her priorities.
Yeah, she switched her priorities real quick, because I was actually going on a rise too. I had started working in my field. I was in my purpose. And even though the 18-year-old me was a trash dude, or 19-year-old would be considered trash, I was growing up constantly. And once we finally got it together, she kind of realized, after kind of joking around and doing whatever she wanted to do, she realized there's not much better. I'm much better than me. I am the king. I'm the priority. But I think women definitely should be prioritizing on the caliber of man at an early age. They need to date with purpose. Not just date and have sex, but date with purpose. If I want this type of guy, and not only that, women have to understand that you are a higher value at 18, 19. Your value is more and more at a younger age. 23, start kind of getting around the rough in the ages, but then you got to deal with other 23-year-old men who are most likely out of college, who are now looking to run the streets because they've accomplished the goal. 24-year-old men, they have definitely worked that 1 year of their career. 25-year-old men. So now you're playing with fire now. Then you get into like the Kevin Samuels, you get into this danger zone in which the available people have already been swept off at a younger age. Most men are taking their 18-year-olds fresh out of high school, hot cheerleader girlfriend, and getting her off the market at 18, 19. There's not much pickings, So I think young women should definitely prioritize what is most important is getting the caliber of man. Their education will only benefit them and when they're using their education to benefit their husband.
Ooh, what do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of that? I saw you flexing over there. What's up?
Yeah. Well, this is a very important question for me because I have a 14-year-old daughter, so I have to.
Oh, okay.
I have to think about these kind of things, and I've been thinking about this conversation even previous to this panel.
Yeah, I'm really glad to have you here then, because this will hit home.
I'm glad, absolutely. And so I have to have this conversation with her, and I've been thinking about, well, what do I want? What kind of decisions would I want her to make as her father? And I definitely want her to be educated. But to E Black's point, I think that women are most valued. They have their peak value at like between like 18 and like 24. Once you pass that age, at that point you probably, most people at that age are kind of running through the streets. But the difference, I do believe that men tend to men can't have more chances of increasing their value being single till in later ages as opposed to women. And that's as that may sound sexist and be triggering, but I just think that
triggered.
I just think it's a fact of life. So from like I said previously, I don't want my daughter to throw away her education for a man, because I've seen women get caught up in a relationship where the man is providing everything for them, and providing all the value and doing all of that, but sometimes you could end up with the wrong guy who's married to you, but he's running around in the streets and still having relationships on the side, and that's something that Kevin Samuels always.
Let me ask you this then. So at that point in time, when you see that she's married and the guy starts to run around, obviously the guy's not doing something right. But do you think that the woman is also not doing something right for him to decide to? Because at some point he decided to make her a priority, make her like, listen, I want to start a family, a future. I want you to be in my life forever. At some point in time, there was a separation of understanding of understanding and agreement that now he decides, okay, I'm not getting what I originally bargained for. I'm going to try to find it out there somewhere.
I think men, we're kind of we can be sometimes simplistic and animalistic in the sense where we could be happy and have a perfect situation at home and still want, I think on the side.
Sex is sex.
There's there's a saying that goes, "There's no woman like a new woman." You know what I mean? And and
there's a different word, but yes.
yeah. Well, I didn't want to be too bold.
It's all right. It's all right. I'll say it. I'll take it.
But we all know it's not necessarily the woman, but
we know the word, but all right. We'll keep it PG. We'll keep it PG.
Well, I'm keeping it PG. But that's the thing, is like, as men, we have to, at the end of the day, we can't mess up our situation at home. So, like, when I have these conversations with friends privately, and they're telling me, that they're happy with their relationship, but they want to do their thing on the side. Obviously, the right thing to do is to not go through with that side relationship. But Kevin Samuels always mentions how a high value man is always going to have options, and if a woman wants to be with a high value man, she has to put up with him exercising his options.
She has to accept him exercising his options. Correct?
Yeah. Now, at the end of the day, I think that if you're a high value man and you're going to exercise your options, I think it's your responsibility to not let that affect your relationship at home. Now, obviously, that's easier said than done, but I have seen it happen where it's like you talk to someone, to a guy who you think is like the ideal man, that's like faithful and does right by his woman all the time, and as you get to know the man a little bit more, oh shit, this guy just knows how to move around, and it doesn't make it right. But if you're gonna make a wrong decision, don't let it affect your family. Ultimately, I think that as men,
well, what about the expectation of women, though? Let's move this conversation along with the expectation of a woman. You have to have, like I said, you have to date effectively. Women should have the understanding that men are most likely going to cheat. Is that more valuable than the man that is in front of you? Is that more valuable? Is
cheating?
Yes. Is cheating more valuable than having the man that is a provider?
From high value to low value, they're all going to cheat, is what he's saying. So at what point, pick your poison, essentially, is what he's trying to say.
And
from a woman's perspective or from a man's perspective, like a man having a woman cheat or a woman having her man cheat?
No, from a woman's perspective, they should have the understanding that their man is most likely going to do these activities.
Well, that's why ultimately it's a woman's responsibility to make sure that she chooses the highest value man that she can get. Because if ultimately low value men are going to make the dumbest decisions. So and a low value man is going to. If you're coming in with that opinion that most men are going to cheat, which we know is the reality, a low value man is going to possibly have a child outside of the marriage, or have some crazy woman come show up at home and destroy your relationship and wreck your home, versus a high value man might be able to have a side relationship with a high value woman that's maybe understanding of the fact that you're never going to be his number one. He has his number one at home, and if you're going to be a part of this man's life as his side relationship, then you're gonna have to accept that, just as his wife might have to accept the fact that he has a side relationship. But ultimately, that's all on the woman. Is like, if you choose a low value man, he's gonna make stupid decisions, versus a high value man is gonna know how to move.
Maddie, what's your opinion in all this?
Well,
Sticky situation. What the hell did I get into?
I know, no comment. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know. I've heard people say that men are naturally polygamous, and I don't know, that women are naturally monogamous, and that's why men cheat. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think, are you asking what I feel about the cheating aspect? Or?
No, just pretty much. Well, let's keep it there. The cheating aspect. Yes. Let's keep it there.
Well, I would, of course, like to believe that my partner wouldn't do that to me. And I think that if he were to do that to me, uh, I think you keep it. I'm very private in my relationship. You keep your relationship private, you handle it accordingly, and move on. If you're married, I feel like it's a different type of commitment. Like, I don't think you just walk out and leave. You have to weigh the pros and cons. You have to look at the whole relationship, deal with it in your relationship, and keep pushing. I mean,
Who is this girl? She is.
oh my, that's a tough
I feel like you
one.
found like the ideal woman. So like you keep giving the perfect answers in these situations.
Look, I'm telling you, whoever her man is, you better put a ring on it. I'm telling you, you're not gonna find this every day. I'm telling you,
absolutely not.
Oh my goodness, that's a hard one though. But
I
think what you don't know don't hurt you. Like
I think I definitely have to. I with what Maddie's saying, I think that's what's missing a lot more in this generation, which is like, even though things like that do happen, keep it between the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
Low value men don't have enough forethought to say like, let's keep it between the two of us. They'll do it recklessly, possibly have a kid out there, and then their baby mama will be posting pictures on Facebook, and then contacting the girlfriend, and it's kind of like it becomes a whole giant shit show that didn't need to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Versus a higher value man would probably, avoid doing something like that, and if he did, he would definitely find a way to take care of his business, but not let him affect his main core family.
Oh, that's even at a higher. The more you get up the food chain, the more you're willing to deal with women who do that stuff.
Yeah.
Like when I was doing my dating thing, I instantly checked the Facebook page. If your Facebook page is full of, why did he leave me? If your Facebook page is a literal litany test of your whole emotional state for the last 2-3 months, then I understand that I'm not that woman's type. That's not my type, because I do not want to break up with the woman and then I read on the Facebook page that I got tagged in 5 different posts about how I am not stuff, or I cheated, or she got confused and was just that type of stuff. So like I said, you have to have good dating habits, and that's why I think, like I said, at young age you have to have great dating habits. You have to. It goes even back to the first question. You have to have these repetitions, because you end up in these situations with people who are not emotionally able to handle, or you're not emotionally mature enough to have expectations or even give expectations. So you have to do this at a young age. It's the perfect time to do that. And that's really the way you grow, or else you're going to be a 25-year-old emotional person tweeting every single emotion that you have, not understanding why somebody's cheating, not understanding why they're working so many hours and then they come home and then you're going to complain to them. You're just all over the place. So you have to start young with good dating habits. That doesn't mean sex. It just means good dating habits. Women should have a man take them out to the bar and for 1 hour have a conversation and that be it. I don't suggest that with me, but I mean, learn how to do that. Learn what a brunch date is. Learn what an afternoon date is. Learn the different avenues of getting to know each other than late night 3 o'clock hookups, 3 a.m. hookups. You have to have good dating. Yeah, learn how to ask the questions. Learn how to get deep into the psychology of a man. But you don't do that after you've got your degree and then try to think that after a while, the men are we're predators. Not in the sense of that, but
whoa.
I'm giving up too much, but we all know the game. We all know certain women, you on that tip. Okay.
Now because of social media and a lot of different avenues and platforms, yes, it is a lot more. Men are now understanding, okay, this is how modern women are moving now. And a lot of which is why I'm kind of doing something like this. A lot of men are checking out of the game. A lot of good men are checking out of the game because they're kind of like, listen, I'm not one of those guys that's going to run around and sleep around. or I don't even have that ability to do it. And all I'm really trying to do is find someone that I can live happily with. But if all these women kind of want to play games, I get used as a meal ticket. I'm just gonna focus on me, make my money, live my life, and then that's it. And I think men, because we're meant to be providers, we can provide for ourselves and just kind of live happily. But women do want a lot more family. I would say the majority of women want a family. They want to grow up and see their children grow, have a husband, have a lifestyle that they built to cultivate it together. So in this long run, women are losing out a lot more than men in
But
this whole modern dating.
I think we're seeing that less though, or not so much less, but we're seeing more women that don't necessarily care to have kids or family. Like I know so many women that in their like 20s, in their entire 20s, don't want to focus on kids, even if they're in like a happy relationship. A lot of women want to just live life and travel and not worry about the weight of having children, because obviously it's a big responsibility. And like we were talking about earlier, there's so many options that we have with social media and the internet. We see all that there is to experience out in the world, and I think that more and more, I won't say the majority, but I'm like more and more women aren't focused on having a family. I guess I don't know if I want to really put my personal life out there, but like, I will. My daughter has mentioned at her age, she's not concerned with having a family. She doesn't care to have that in the future, which is, for me, kind of a surprise. And that may change as time goes on. She's a young girl that may not know exactly what she wants. But I have many women in my life, friends or family that are now in their 30s and still kind of aren't too concerned with having children.
But what lifestyle are they living? Let me ask you that. What kind of lifestyle are they living? Are they living a lot more of the free modern lifestyle, or are they living a lot more of I want to focus and get my own and just kind of build my life and then I'll go back and try to get the family lifestyle.
I think there's a mix, right? There's some women that kind of wait forever to find Mr. Right. Some women are in happy relationships, but just don't want to have children. They just want to build themselves up, and I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to set yourself up when you're in a partnership, to set yourself up for a situation where once you have children, you can easily provide for them. You have money in the bank for their college education before they're born, or you have money set up to give them private school education before they're born. And I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. But it gets to a point where now you see what biologically speaking, we know that the older you wait as a woman, the tougher it is to have children. So, you see a lot of that too, where now women are 32, 33, 34, 35 trying to have children. And it's like they're having trouble doing it. They're having trouble having children because.
Or even finding the caliber of man that they actually want.
Yeah, exactly. That's it as well. Because, I think we covered that earlier where, ultimately, I've seen it where most good women, and I don't want to say all, but most good women are taken before the age of 24.
Yeah,
because they kind of know what a high value woman knows what she wants at an early age, and for men, like for us, we have the good fortune of kind of increasing our value. We grow
through time.
Yeah. Because I wasn't nothing at 19, man. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. I was trash, I did have a car and I did have my apartment, but I just felt like I still was trash to a lot of people. Unless what else do you want? You want clothes too? How am I supposed to? How are these people doing this stuff? Like, I got clothes. Like, you want me to have clothes, jewelry,
Jordans.
I got rent to pay.
The latest North Face jacket.
Yeah, I'm like, what is going on? Like this? It never ends. And then you still choose to do, man, in the world. So once I started focusing on myself, it became easier in life,
Okay, guys, I'm enjoying this. I really like this. I really like all you guys being here. All right, on to the next topic. Do more good men lack the balls to approach anymore, or is there a lack of good women, or is there something we're missing? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Maddie, start it off. Kick it off.
Well, I think it's a mixture of both because, yes, I think a lot of men do lack the courage to approach certain women, but then we go into the question, why? Are women easy to approach? Are you making yourself easy to approach and available? Because, a lot of people are tunnel vision, resting bee face. I'm here to get my tomatoes and lettuce and I'm gone. Like a lot of women don't really have that aura where it's approachable. Even as I spoke about earlier, just trying to find friends. And I'm a female approaching a female, and I'm small, so I'm like, I can't beat you up or anything. And people are, not as easy to approach nowadays. So I think that yes, men do lack the courage, but
no, say it, the balls, the
balls. But there's a lot of reasons why, and I see why because, it's hard. Women don't really make themselves easy to approach a lot of the times. And sometimes we take it too far. Like if a man just gives us a compliment, I'm taken, all this stuff. And it's like, just say thank you and move on, because he might not even be trying to excel to that level with you. But, allow people to be comfortable to have conversation and talk to people and strangers in person. So then when they do meet someone that they want to delve deeper with or maybe take out, they're not like, I'm not going to go up to her because the last time I talked to somebody, so-and-so. Like, let's not, I guess I'm trying to say is women, let's not mess it up for the other women. Let's be kind. So
let me ask you this. How long have you been practicing approaching?
Approaching
just for like women, just for friendship. How long have you been practicing that? Because that sounds like something you've started trying to make a habit, correct?
Yeah, I do. I like talking to strangers. There's no stranger danger here. But I think ever since probably when I graduated high school a while ago, I think just even probably a little bit before that, because just getting into working my first job and doing all of that, I think I just realized, we're all humans. We're all trying to get through. Let me just try to alleviate it and make life better and try to talk to people. I think we need community. We need conversation and relationship, no matter what level it's on, romantic or platonic. Like, we need to be able to talk to each other. And so I think I've been practicing that for a really long time because I think it's important. I really do.
Years or months?
Years.
Wow. Okay.
Did you have a boyfriend in high school?
No, I actually did not have a boyfriend in high school.
Really?
See those glasses? That's a bookworm. That's a bookworm right there.
I can turn this into after hours. Look, trust me. But trust me, because I was shocked when you said, after high school you wanted to do that. But I thought, I was figuring in my mind, well, she must have had a man in her life, so she didn't feel the need to actually communicate with others. But it's actually the reverse. You didn't have a man, and you still weren't trying to be social, or
yeah. I wasn't in a relationship in high school, and I really wanted to be social. I mean,
did you friend zone a lot of guys?
No, actually, I was friend zoned a lot in high school. I was friend zoned a lot.
I don't know. I think in one of my last streams,
you didn't know it.
Yeah, exactly. In one of my last streams, I think
you didn't know it.
Women have a hard time understanding that most guys actually want them. So they will naturally keep hanging out with the guys, and the guys will they're not assertive enough to actually try to make a move. So they're just going to wait for the tiniest crack in the armor. And try to slide in the DMs.
It might have been you might have not attracted like aggressive guys that might have gone in.
I didn't get asked to prom. I was not. I just was very awkward.
Did you wear braces?
No.
A back brace, maybe? Like, what was it? What was it?
Okay, did you? Well, like, let's figure this out. Did you go to an all-white school?
You know what? It was majority Mexican and white at my school. I was probably one of the 4 Black people there.
Okay,
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah.
Maybe people are afraid to be with the the
But
different
you know
person,
what?
that one Black girl.
Yeah. And you know what, though? I'm glad that happened that way because I got a chance to really analyze everyone else's relationships and see what's going on. And so it made me really kind of cautious. When I started dating people, I was just went about it differently. Long story.
that's actually very good because because of that, because you did not get the attention that most women do, you had to learn to communicate and actually build your social skill. Versus, I would say a lot more women nowadays, it's especially because you get a lot of attention if you're pretty. You don't need to learn to talk. You don't need to learn to be kind. You could be rude and people will still give you attention. Like,
Right.
there's really no point, but you actually had to cultivate your personality, which is impressive. Sure. You'll get this. All right. There you go.
Maddie just slipped through the cracks. I'm serious. How did this happen? So, okay, did your sister ever take you? Did your sister date?
I have 8 siblings, and the sister that I did go to high school with, she did date. So I don't know what happened to me, but I'm glad it happened that way. Just because even when I was in the dating scene, I liked going on dates because it was fun. Because it's like, I'm not going to make a decision if I'm going to be with this person today. I'm just going to get
enjoy
to know
the company.
Yeah, it was so cool. Even if someone was like super weird or whatever, I'm like, well, we could still hang out. We can still try this again, and maybe I'll eventually like you, maybe not. But we go in so I go in very open-minded. Like this isn't the decision day of, to date or not.
Hold on, real quick, guys. To anyone out there watching, in the comment section, I'm going to drop the link to join the stream. I'm going to allow anyone watching to come on and answer or join the panel for one question. You only get one question per show. So if you want to join the panel, obviously come in. You need a camera, you need good lighting, and we need to be able to hear you. But if you want to join the panel and you want to take a shot at a question that we've had previously or currently, or even ask anyone on the panel a question, here's your chance. I'll probably do that with all the questions, but I'm building as I'm flying it. All right, people? Come on. All right, go for it. E Black?
Well,
how do I take that off the screen?
I think what it is that women are changing the rules of the game, and they're making it almost to a very unsafe situation for men to actually play the game effectively. So now it is mostly a game. Whereas before, even when I was younger, hey, let me get your number. Let's have these conversations. I wouldn't even, you don't even have to ask a person for their number. You just ask for their Instagram account, and then you play, I'm going to like this picture game. And then, hey, I post a picture of my dog because we had this conversation. It's becoming almost ineffective for women because it's shortening the way that men want to approach you, or the natural way that a man wants to approach you. So now, like she's saying, guys don't even want to approach you at the gym. I'd rather stalk your little page, figure out figure out where you went to school at. I'd rather do other things because that is now the preferred method than just actually having human conversation. And so I think women are now doing themselves a disservice in which, like I said, they're focusing more on education. They're focusing on this. It's a whole bunch of focus on other things than actually getting the men in their area or in their range to approach them. And then you're going to get men who are actually perfecting these games that doesn't who
They run around running game.
They run around running game, and I remember when texting first got started, right? Like really,
Dang.
like we went.
My man is a dinosaur, bro. Texting first got started.
Hey,
God damn.
I remember that too. I remember too.
What was that? The juke?
There was a switch from pagers to sidekick, but like before sidekick.
Oh, the sidekick! Wow.
That was like the original. That's the beginning of it all. I feel like with the sidekick.
So once I learned that you can actually text 10 people and get a response back from 10 different people, I realized I just have to talk to 10 different girls.
Yeah. All you need is one.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I knew the exact time to do it. I knew not to do it. But like I said, it doesn't.
Giving away the game to the young guys. Goddamn.
That game was dead. But that game was dead. So it's
you got to get 10 Instagrams and
10 Instagrams, 10 DMs. Nowadays it's I was gonna say you gotta hit like 400.
No, and then you gotta have one Facebook account that's like all professional, and then you gotta have your freak.
This is way too much game for me. Too much effort. I don't know what game this is anymore. I don't know. I don't get it.
Then you gotta have your meme Facebook, and then you gotta have different content and culture. Then you gotta have your drunken bar Facebook account, which is just usually me partying. The game is just all messed up, and I think women are now. We need to realize they need to, and when they're in public space, to smile, be more approachable, give men an actual chance. When that dude asks for your number, give him your number, because you can block any dude now. So it's like
definitely smile. I would say that definitely the smiling is a big thing. Because
if you want to get approached, of course.
If you want to get approached, but realistically, I mean, even for friendly conversation, like who wouldn't want to just have a good conversation with someone and just keep moving about your day? We're not talking, hey, you want to blow me in the bathroom? Like, I'm just saying, like, hey, I needed a nutmeg last week for like a casserole I was making, kind of, just a small little conversation just to lighten up each other's day.
And even thinking about it now, you can't even talk on the phone with a person. You have to text now. The game has gotten so messed up that you can't even have a human reaction with the person when you first meet them. You are actually obligated to text. If you call that woman these days, you are being lame.
Or you're being a creep. Yeah. You call, sometimes you call a woman and it's like, why is this guy calling me? Like, text, like.
Xavier, what do you think of this?
Do
men like the balls?
Do men? You said right. The question is, do good men lack the balls to approach?
Do good men? Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
And I do. I would say yes. In the sense because I think the definition of a good man is not trying to take advantage of a woman, and ultimately, like I think that women should always consider it as a red flag when a guy is really good at approaching you, because that means he has a lot of practice. And he could potentially, and I'm not saying that, to reject that man, but when ultimately like that women do want a man who does know how to approach them, right? Like they're going to be more attracted to a man who does know how to play the game. But ultimately, blacks for that, you got to be careful that's not a predator. And so
you're breaking in and out a little bit, X.
Am I?
Yeah.
I don't know why that might be.
Continue. No, you're good. Continue. I just want to give you a heads up on that. Yeah.
I don't know if my phone being. I think that the reason why women are getting more difficult to approach is because of the fact that men's game is getting better. And at the end of the day, we have to realize that there are a ton of guys out there that's just looking to add notches to their belt, and trying to add body to their account. So, I don't think that it's totally wrong for women to have a little bit of defense, because if you're too easily approachable, you can be approached by the wrong people. Now, obviously, and it all, like I said before, like if you want to get approached, if you're looking for a relationship and you're looking for a partner, you also have to know where you're at, and where you want someone to approach you. Because if you're, for instance, like if you're in New York City and you're on the subway and some random guy comes up to you and approaches you, like it's hard to tell who that person is, what their intentions are. It's impossible. But now, if you're like in Barnes and Noble looking for your favorite book, and someone approaches you and at Barnes and Noble, then okay, well, at least I know this person reads. Or if you're in a place where you're gonna find someone with similar interests, it's gonna be you're gonna have better success with being approached. So I guess ultimately, I think that good guys tend to lack the balls to approach women. And like the second part of the question is, like you said, or is there a lack of good women to approach? I mean, ultimately, it's hard to know, before you approach a woman, whether she's good or not. You have to approach her first to know whether or not she's a good woman. And that takes it back to your environment, right? So if you're in the bar or a club and you're going to approach a woman, that's another place where you have no idea what kind of person you're approaching. You can meet a great person at a bar. You can also meet someone who's just sleeping around. So it all depends on what your intentions are. So I mean, I guess that's my answer on that. But I think that it's important for good men to take the initiative and learn how to approach women. Like I myself, in the dating game, kind of have had fear to approach women, and I've had to learn what's the best route towards approaching women. I think a lot of times we think of, what's the perfect pickup line and stuff like that. And what I realize is pickup lines are kind of cheesy and kind of display what your intentions are. You use cheesy pickup lines, but for me, like I always think the best thing is just a genuine question. You know what I mean? Like if there's something about a woman that you like,
so you can't ask them, how much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to break the ice. How you doing? My name's Clement. Easy pickup line. Okay, boom. Boom.
How much is a polar bear?
You've been storing that one up.
There you go. You guys can have it. All right. I'm a generous man. Take it. Take it.
Use that, Clement?
I don't know. We'll have to see.
I mean, you gotta also read the room too. Like sometimes sometimes it's okay to have pie in your face, and that actually may work. What
do you mean?
Like sometimes, like you say, if you came with that line and she looked at you and was like, "Oh, that's such a lame line," but then you're like,
"Own it."
Okay, yeah, own it. Like, okay, well, let me try something else. How it's like. So it's all about, like you said, like I said before, it's all about repetitions, learning what works, and just baseball is a game of averages, where if you go to the bat 5 times or 4 times a game, you're good if you hit it once or twice. Mm-hmm. So that's how you have to approach dating. Be happy. You're not always going to be the top notch Barry Bonds, but be happy with your batting average and know your batting average.
And improve it if necessary. Learn the little nuances that's going to get your batting average a little higher.
Yeah. So Maddie, what was the last guy, or how did your boyfriend approach you?
Well, I actually we met at church, so
that's super traditional.
I know. So it was just kind of like through mutual friends, and kept hanging out, and then we went on a couple of dates, and it just
clicked.
Yeah, it just went on from there. He was super silly and goofy and cheesy, and I liked it.
Cheesy pickup lines. You see that? Cheesy pickup lines, right?
Keep using them.
I have to give him more of a try.
I definitely think I would have to go after the guys a little bit more on this one. Honestly, when I was making this question, I was thinking, even for myself, because we have the internet, it's so easy to easily get in contact with 4,000 women, like we were just saying. We can easily DM a bunch until one of us likes us and just, comments back, and then you just hook up, and then that's it. There was no real effort behind it. I think men of old had to build their character because there was no easy way to get in contact with a girl. If you did not grow a pair of balls and go up to them and talk to them and fail and learn how to actually be comfortable in your own skin and walk up and strike up a conversation without any intentions of sex or any intentions of anything at all besides, I kind of want to get to know this person, it's going to be very hard for men to date if they're not doing that anymore. Yeah. I think men now we're too used to, hey, we're just gonna pick this thing up, we're just gonna shoot out a bunch of texts, and I'm in contact with them because I like the photo of theirs on Facebook that they put up 2 seconds ago, so I made contact with them. For me personally, I took myself out of the dating scene, but before dating, I always want to call someone. We'd even have like a 3 to 5 minute conversation. It usually spans a little bit longer because I can't shut up. But like usually, I want to know that the person I'm taking out, I can actually have a conversation with. There's some level of intelligence or thought behind it, as well as it's pushing myself out of my comfort zone. Anything you want in life never happened in your comfort zone. Literally, for men and women, if you want anything, you're gonna have to step out of your comfort zone. That's why there's people get jitters even on wedding day, because it's a big leap that you're taking. But if you want there's happiness at the end of that uncomfort. And there's learning and there's growth and there's so much more at the end of the uncomfort. So I think more men need to get out of their comfort zone and need to start stepping out and start approaching, start talking, not with the intention of trying to get a higher notch on how many women you slept with, but with the intention of, I want to try to get to know this person. And if this person didn't smile at me or gave me, shit for approaching, then know that you had zero bad intentions when you approached. Know that I just walked up to try to have a conversation. Maybe they were having a bad day. That's okay. I'm going to approach the next person to have a conversation with no bad intentions. Listen, if you're approaching someone to brighten up their day, to help them brighten up your day, I mean, what's the harm in that?
Yeah.
Right.
At least that's how I like to think about it. More men need balls, bro.
But come on, man. We need you.
Balls.
We still need you in the game, man. I was disappointed to hear that, man. I know you living in your purpose right now, and I know you
exactly.
But we need you to get them reps up, man. I'm sorry. You can't just think that after a while.
Listen, I got my button all the way up. I'm smiling. It's not enough,
you know what? I'm with Clement. I've kind of removed myself from the dating game as well. I've been single for quite some time, and I've been in and out of the dating game. And what I've decided is, like, as a man, or just anyone, not only as a man, as a woman, anybody who's looking to eventually find a partner is you have to be happy with yourself and be happy with your self-worth and increase your value. And if you feel that you want to get to a certain level before you find your match, then what's the only purpose of dating then becomes, I agree with E Black, like it's important to get your reps up because you don't want to get rusty. But at the end of the day, I guess it's kind of like riding a bike. Once you get back into it, you get more comfortable with approaching women and speaking to women. But like if you're just consistently in the dating game, when you have no intention to settle down, then you're ultimately going to be dating to sleep around. Because obviously that's kind of where we're at in society is. And I've been there, to the point where you're just having, firstless sex or random sex with random people. And it's like, I think when you're a young guy, it's fun, but it gets to a point where it gets redundant and it's just, pardon me. You're just having meaningless sex and meaningless interactions with people. I think that, I think the purpose to date is to date with intention. And if you don't have intention to take it to the next level, then, I think there's nothing wrong with taking yourself out until you're ready to jump back in.
Yeah. I disagree, but I
No, I'm
understand.
curious. I'm genuinely curious on why you disagree with that, though. I really am.
Because, like I said, you're assuming that when you're at a certain space, that a woman is just going to appear and she's going to be perfect. The law of averages doesn't work like that. You have to go through the forest, and it's just like running a race. You can't stop running a race and then expect to make up time at the back end. You have to continue to jog.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what I'm saying, is that it doesn't mean that you're going at your fastest pace like you were when you were first starting. It just means that, hey, I'm going to continue maturing myself while I'm doing this. I may not have sex. You don't have to have sex with every single person you meet, but the attempts and the meeting and the exchanging of information is valuable, because these things are valuable and they help mature you. So yeah, you may not go get into a relationship, but at least you're interacting with people. So now that you think that when you get ready, that you're just not a bubble of just emotion, like, oh yeah, I'm ready. Like, hey, how you doing? I haven't talked to a girl in 6 months. So that's it's kind of like that. Like I said, like I understand, and it's
okay. So I think listening to you, I think I get what it sounds like I'm saying. I'm not saying I stepped away from women completely.
Okay.
I'm saying I've switched my priorities to I'm going to be hanging out to try to get as many women as I can, to now, okay, I'm going to be focusing on my purpose. And when I have time, I'm still going to try and talk, but now it's not going to be sitting here on my phone DMs. I'm going to be approaching in person a lot more.
Yeah. Okay,
so now
you were sounding like you were like you were like
no. That's why I wanted to understand what you're saying, because I'm like, I thought what I said was good, but I guess I didn't verbalize it well enough.
I'm still like, even myself, I'm still in plenty of DMs. You know what I mean? Like
4,000. All right, that wasn't a fake number.
It's not 4,000. But I'm still practicing throwing my compliments out, and although I kind of threw shade at cheesy pickup lines, I'm not saying I don't do it. But and I do agree with E Black's point. You want to keep your practice up, and you definitely not shunning women away. But I think what me and Clement are talking about is that, like, our purpose isn't to date, right now. Is if there's nothing wrong with starting up a conversation on a line when you have an attractive woman in front of you, or you see someone you follow post a dope picture and comment on it and say something nice to them. I agree. You have to keep those reps up, and you have to practice being trying to be attractive to women. But if you're not in the space where you want to be to take a relationship to the next level, if it presents itself to you, then sometimes you have to dial it back and get ready for when you do want to do that. And it's not gonna, I agree to your point where, like, when you decide that you are ready to date, it's not gonna happen where in a week or two you're gonna find the right woman. You might spend another couple of years in the dating game. But I mean, ultimately, I don't think any of us want to, once we make that decision, want to spend years in the dating game, especially once you're in your 30s, 40s. But I mean, like I said earlier, man, as a man, we have the good fortune of, being able to kind of play the dating game up until like our, mid 40s or so. I think
there's no wall for black men or men in general. I was on a panel the other day, and they was like, well, this such and such hit a wall. I was like, there's no wall for men. As long as you're working in your purpose, you're always going to be attractive from 8 to an 18-year-old girl on up. Women you think
a 65-year-old man is going to be attractive to an 18-year-old woman?
Keeps himself in shape. As well as he keeps his finances up, his lifestyle. Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't he be?
There's no law.
I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree.
Because and that's the whole point. It's like what makes a man attractive to the woman is not the same thing that makes women attractive to a man.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Because for women, I mean, Maddie, obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but for women, it's a lot more like, what kind of lifestyle can this man provide, his character? And obviously he has to be some level of attractive. But that level of attractive is not as high as what it is on a man scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think my few things were just same views in religion, and I don't know. I didn't really think about the job aspect too much. It worked out well, but I never really thought about it just because I'm like, let me just see. I never limited anyone on my dates based off of like what career they had. So if I like them and they so happen to work at Lowe's, then but I mean, that's not my situation, but I'm just saying, I don't think the career thing was that much of a deal for me, although my partner has a good career, but I don't think it was that big of a deal.
You are not the norm. We've went over this. You are not the norm, all right?
My mind is like, I'm sweating. I'm trying to see, like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look her up. I'm gonna follow her on Instagram.
I'm thinking Lowe's.
I want to see her grow. I want to see this person grow in life.
I just want the discount on the garden stuff. So,
all right. So, before we go on to the next question, I had a quick preface video before we started that. So, give me 1 second. Okay. Let's do a little bit of this. Ooh, share audio. Boom. All right. Mr. Samuels himself, of course.
Want them to promote a guy out of the friend zone?
Yeah, because they have been there. A man can't understand a woman if she can't even understand himself.
Guys, I didn't give her a script.
Okay. That quick little. That's all you guys got. But why don't ladies date their best friends? Promote from the dating zone, from the friend zone. Maddie, we'll start with you.
Yeah,
go ahead, Xavier. You go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Don't worry. I have my answer.
I think the qualification for friends is a lot lower than the qualification for a potential partner. I mean, I have friends that are atheists, buy all this extra stuff, and they're not my partner, and I'm not going to be trying to, amalgamate my life with them. So it's a little easier to just have a lot of differences and understand, okay, this isn't going to be, we're not going to have to try to make this work. Like one of my good friends who's a guy, I wouldn't date him personally because we don't have the same political, religious views, but we get along well. And I just think that the qualifications for friends are a lot lower because you don't have to sleep with them at the end of the day.
That's what I said. Best friends. We're talking best friends.
Best friend. He's one of my best friends. I have 2 best friends and he's one of them. And I wouldn't date him because we just don't have the same views in a lot of stuff, but it makes for good conversation. So that's why we're really good friends. We can disagree and have good conversation, but I don't think I would want a partner. I don't think that would be good to always have debates and disagreements.
That sounds actually pretty sexy.
To have disagreements with your partner all the time. I couldn't do it.
You're like a masochist.
I know, right? So you guys punch each other too? Ooh, that sounds good.
A little bit of choking.
You guys drink a wine, discuss politics,
and then splash it on them right after a disagreement. Yeah, I get you.
Because then it goes down to I feel like I'm pretty lenient when it comes to. Well, I don't have kids, but I feel like I'll be pretty lenient when it comes to parenting with my partner. And if you guys just don't agree on a lot of stuff, then it's like, goodness, how are we going to raise these kids? You're Buddhist, I'm Christian, you're this, I'm not. It's just too much to try to get on the same page. My friends are a lot different than me. I have a lot of different friends. So I just feel like that. And my best friend, I wouldn't date him because we're so different. I just don't think it would work out for a good future, especially when kids are involved.
X, what do you think?
I think that wow, I just had a brain fart. I'm sorry. I think women tend to like a guy who knows what he wants. I mean, apart from because I think Madison bring up a very good point. Sometimes you'll have friend. Well, first of all, I kind of always believe that when men are and women are friends, if they're both straight, I always think that one of them is attracted to the other. I never think that they're truly just friends. So, a lot of women kind of look past that. I think most women will disagree, but as a man who has been in the friend zone with certain women, I know that I've been in the friend zone because I lacked balls to come to her early on and tell her how I felt. Or if I generally do have a female friend that I like their friendship, she's probably and it's been a case where she's attracted to me. So I think that ultimately women tend to, besides Maddie's point, I think, like I said, I think if a woman has a friend who she doesn't agree with on political and religious views or life views in general, I think it is going to be difficult for her to have a relationship with that person. But I also think that women tend to not have to not promote their best friends because women like a man who knows what he wants. So if you are afraid to show that you want a relationship early on or show at least some level of attraction early on, that's how you end up in the friend zone period. You know what I mean? Like I think that I think it's a poor approach to try and finagle your way in as a friend to then grow into a relationship. Now, if you approach a woman with the intention to be in a relationship, but she wants to be friends first, I think it's important to establish the fact, well, listen, we can be friends, but just know that that's not what I want out of this. I want more. So there's going to be a line. There's going to be a limit to this friendship. If it doesn't escalate to the next level, then, then our friendship is going to die down a little bit to the point where I don't know. Like I personally, I do have very close female friends. So, some of them are in relationships with some of my best friends or
but that's why I think you know what it's tough to like going off your point. It's tough to have a platonic relationship as two single people. The friendship can happen if one person is in a relationship. But a lot of the time, if there's a platonic relationship, that friendship is defined on the woman kind of saying like, all right, here's where I draw the line. And the guy just kind of waiting around for that line to eventually just get smutched.
Yeah. Or the other way around. Sometimes.
Or the other way around, but more commonly. Commonly. Yeah.
But I've had situations where I have had female friends because I've kind of wanted to answer that question for myself. Can men and women who are straight be friends, be purely platonic friends? And in my case, if both of us are single, there's always going to be at some point where if we're alone and there might be a
couple of drinks,
couple of
Netflix, a little bit of chill,
somebody at the very least, somebody makes a move. Even if nothing happens, someone tends to make a move at some point. If you're both
once them hot shorts come out, it's a wrap. Most women have a pair of hot shorts that they know are
they know fits them well, and they're like, oh, what do you mean? I don't think they look that bad. And it's like, yo, come on. Like, let's be serious. Let's be real. All right. You know how they look on you.
You know what you're doing.
You know exactly what you're doing.
So I agree with you guys. for the most part, I think women want masculinity around, and it becomes infectious. So I think that's kind of why a lot of times women have masculine friends or men around, because they desire that type of interaction, but without the responsibility. I stopped doing friend zone. I stopped getting friend zoned a long time ago. I said I made it a conscious point not to do that.
It's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. But like I said, I have to switch up, and I don't feel like I just stopped feeling like switch up, because women are a different type of relationship. They need words. They need emotional availability. Those things, right? If I'm giving you that, then I'm lacking in giving it to another person, or I'm fulfilling my own need by having a feminine person around, to where I'm not even trying to get another woman. You get what I'm saying? If I'm constantly pouring into another woman and she's pouring into me, then I don't get my edge to where I can pour into another person, or at least try to get another person. So that's why I was like, don't do the friend zone thing. Accept your L. Walk away. She'll text you one night and say, "What's up?" or she'll ask you out. Let it go. What it will be, what it will be, and I've lost a lot of dope ass people in my life, but in retrospect, I didn't lose them. They just didn't see the potential in me. And that's why they're single and broke and stuff now. So forget they're going through their issues because they friends on me. So let's just put it out there, but I think women need to also consider the women, the dudes that are willing to go through that as the best options, really. They know you, they're not into you sexually, or they're willing to abstain, they're willing to do the things that are necessary for you. They've heard conversations, they know your needs, they're willing to maintain it, because of being a good friend needs maintenance. You can't consider somebody a friend if they're not doing friendship thing. They're just associates, or they're just talking point buddies and stuff like that. But if you're saying this is my best friend, that means they've gotten through the gamut of doing best friend activities. Therefore, that person deserves the first shot at the line.
Deserves. Wow. That's a strong word, my friend.
Yeah,
that is a strong word.
I mean, in a sense, I see what you're saying, but I don't know if they deserve it, because also, like, in my own experience, I feel like when I've allowed myself to get friend zoned to the point, I mean, I don't know if I've ever qualified to be a woman's best friend, but if I'm her best friend, I think I don't deserve that chance, because if I'm her best friend, that means I never made an attempt to become her boyfriend or her man. And so when I finally decide to muster up that courage to then let her know how I feel, that's going to be like, wait, what? I thought we were just friends. You know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like you come off as kind of a creep now, because it's like, unless, I mean, I think we see that in movies, right? Where people are best friends and, oh man, you know what? I'm sorry. I didn't plug my charger in and my computer's about to die.
Wow.
So let me let me go get my charger real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Exit.
Yeah, go for it. Honestly, I came in here thinking something different, and with what Xavier was just saying, honestly, did change my mind. Which is a lot of, you would expect that, like, women would want a masculine man, someone who's assertive enough to verbalize what it is that they feel about them. Now, someone who's just kind of sitting around and waiting in the cut for something to eventually come up, that's not a drive that a woman would actually want to be around. So I don't know. Xavier, like I was saying, I got to give you props, because originally I came on this panel with a whole different idea, but then you making that distinctive point right there, which is a woman would want an assertive man that can take charge of what he wants and say, listen, I like you. let's either take it to the next level or back off. Versus a best friend that's just gonna sit there in the cut, waiting, praying, hoping for that Hail Mary to eventually crack her armor and for him to slide in the DMs. And that's not really what a woman wants. They don't want someone that's gonna wait.
But it may
Well,
not
I
also,
appreciate you.
it may not also be that he's not willing to take the
Wait,
shot.
hold on. E-Black, hold that thought. For anyone that's actually watching right now, I definitely do leave a spot open on the panel for someone who has a disagreement or an agreement or any kind of thoughts and would like to hop on the panel. For every show, you only get one time to come up, so pick your option or question wisely. Go ahead.
Well, like I said, I also may think that sometimes men may see that the woman has deficiencies and may not want to get involved with that. If I know that she's clingy, yeah, I may keep you around as a friend, but I know that if I cross that line, she's gonna get super clingy, emotional, calling me back, stuff crazy. That may present itself to be a thing to where I say, you know what, let's just be cool or to be associates. So, that's also a thing in there because like I know a lot of women who I'll be like, you cool, but I might hit one time, but
that's about it.
But once you do that, I feel like the friendship suffers. No, right?
That's it. That's it.
There's very few times where you hit it and
you can't sleep together and then just kind of, hey, remember that didn't happen. Let's get a drink.
Because then what happens when that person, she's now in a relationship, and you're going to be that friend that hit it in the past. Like, me as a man, if I have I'm in a relationship with a woman, I don't want her to have a friendship where she was sleeping with the guy. I'm not gonna feel comfortable with that. But I also, Clem, I appreciate you allowing my point to change your mind. But I'm interested.
No, seriously.
But I'm interested in what your opinion was before you heard what I had to say.
Prior, yeah, I agreed with the whole idea that, like, listen, if this person's kind of been around, they've kind of seen you at your best and your worst, like, it would make sense for you to want to couple up with this person because they've been there with you through thick and thin. Mm-hmm. But then you that's where my mind got shifted from what you said, which is, yeah, you've been there through thick and thin, but all you did was hang around on the side. She essentially... Women want someone that could take the charge and take the lead. Mm-hmm. And they want someone that's going to be assertive enough to say what they want with them and own that. And if it's like, okay, I'm going to risk losing the friendship to gain more. And if I don't get that more, cool, that's fine. But, I'm going to risk it because at the end of that risk is reward. And I would say that women want a lot more of that than they want someone that's gonna just sit there side by side with them through the rain,
Yeah, and I think sometimes there's situations where, as a man, like I said, you let your intentions be known from the beginning, but it may not work out right away. But if you're part of a similar, like the same friend group, right? Like if you have the same friends, you hang out every so often. I think that there can come a point where, in a situation where you did let your intentions be known early on, and maybe the woman was not in a place where she was attracted to you or in a place where she wanted to date or allow it to get to that point. I feel like there could be a situation where you grow into that same situation that you just said, where you kind of seen each other through the thick and thin. But like I said, what was established from the beginning was the intention. Whenever the intention is not established from the beginning, I think it's very
it's left up in the air.
Yeah.
I agree, 100%. Maddie, you have been a cricket, a fly on the wall. Chime in.
Best friend now. That's what's going on.
All the information, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, well, this is the male's point of view. Like the guy's point of view that are in the friend zone. I mean, obviously Xavier just shifted my mind, but it's still from a male's point of view, which is, well, actually, you gave me a lot more of like what a woman would actually want. Versus what I was thinking, what would be practical in a sense. But practical isn't exactly what you want. It's just practical.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what a lot more guys would actually think that are stuck in the friend zone. You know,
Yeah.
thoughts.
I will never be back in the friend zone. It's a dark place.
Well, you're married, right? So like that's the only place you can be with anyone other than your wife.
No, seriously, no. I don't even have.
Boom, dropping bombs.
I don't even have women friends. I don't even have women friends. So.
Okay.
Well, I think if it's a friendship outside of your relationship with your wife, I mean, I think you and your wife may have a friend that can be.
They're her friends.
Okay.
Her friends are. You get what I'm saying? Her friends.
Yeah.
Her friends call me if it's about babysitting and maybe like some dance practice stuff, some party get together type of stuff. But in terms of like I said, I cannot maintain a female relationship because I would then be taken away from my wife.
Yeah.
If that, you get what I'm saying? It's like I can't maintain. I can't switch the voice like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And it's like, and then I'm talking to my female friend like, "Hey," it's two different energies, and then what I look like on the couch is like, "Hey, Becky said she wanted to watch Netflix and come by." It's no.
Yeah, no.
So
I just thought. Go ahead.
No, well, actually, I was just about to say I was interested in what you were going to say before we started talking again.
I just thought as friends, you see two different sides and aspects of the person, and it's like relationships. I don't know what the marriage rate is or anything, but I feel like there's not a lot of people making it, and divorces are common, and so it's like I don't think it's as easy to say we're friends. Let's be in a relationship. I think it's kind of like, we're friends. I seen you might be clingy. You might be bad with your money. You might be impulsive. You might be this, but I like you as a friend, but these aren't necessarily the things that I would bring into my life as a relationship, if that makes sense.
I have a question for you, Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that your male best friend, do you think he's not attracted to you, or do you think there's any level of attraction from him towards you, or do you think that he looks at you the same way that you look at him?
I thought he looked at me the same way that I looked at him, but hearing you guys talk, I'm like, I'm gonna have to tell
you realize that that's what he's got for you.
I know, but you know what? We've been friends since like high school for a long time, and I've never seen him in a relationship ever. I mean, he sometimes will date, sometimes rarely. I could count on my hand how many times he's dated, and I've never seen him in a relationship.
Because
does he get along with your boyfriend?
Yeah, really well.
They do.
Okay, it's because you're taking all his masculine. He can't hunt.
But
but it's not that she's taking it. He's choosing though. He's choosing.
Yeah.
He's choosing to give a lot of that though.
And he doesn't talk to me like very light and like he's like, hey bro, like he's just very like my brother. Like and I know girls say that, but he's very like doesn't talk to me very.
You're hitting all the keywords that girls would say, by the way. All of them. If he's listening to this, bro, out there, I know you, bro. Sorry.
Well, I mean, to Maddie's point, I mean, I can't say that I always believe these guys when they say these things, but like I do know several men who will have a lot of female friends and be like, no, that's just my homegirl. She's just, she's just a friend. But at the same time, it's like I'm like, if she throws it at you, bro, I know you're not gonna let it slide. You know what
See,
I mean?
like piggyback what you're saying, those guys that do that, those are the guys that are probably sleeping around a little bit more. So they have enough, like they have a lot more abundance, so they could easily say, oh yeah, that's my homegirl. Like I don't think anything of her. Yeah, because he can easily kind of get anyone else. Versus if you're saying this guy, you could count on one hand how many he's had throughout the years. I don't know. That's kind of tough. That's kind of tough.
I do have another male friend from school, and we talk quite frequently. And sometimes when I'll call or he'll call, I'll be like, I can't right now. I'm about to go with my man and do whatever. And sometimes he'll be like, I can't, I'm going to call my woman and whatever. Like there's lines where you're just like, I'm not going to give you this energy right now because I have someone else to give it to. I think you just learn to work around it. I mean, maybe I'm naive, but I think men and women can be platonic and have a friendship. But I mean, now that I'm in a relationship, I probably wouldn't pursue extra male friends. But I do think like the male friends I had before is
Marty.
dwindling. My anomaly is dwindling.
With each passing statement, it slowly dwindles.
I give you a pass on this one because this is generally what women think. So
yeah. I mean, it is. That's fair. I mean, it's fair. It's just we're pretty much saying like, so with your buddy you're saying he would easily say, oh, I can't right now, I'm with my man, or he'll say I can't right now, I'm with my woman. That's fine. But you guys both have other people that you're obviously putting energy into.
Right.
I'm talking a male best friend that's been lingering around you for a long time, has no one and kind of always been there for you, sees that you're now in a relationship and is still lingering around as a single person around you.
Well, that's his decision if he wants to walk away from the friendship.
Has he ever made an advance to you? Like, has there been any talks of that in the past?
Never, ever. And we'll sometimes talk about, like, and this may sound weird, but we'll sometimes talk about women like, oh, she's cute, you should talk to her, or I could go talk to her for you or whatever. But he's never made any pass at me, ever.
So you guys had any sleepovers?
No. Never.
This man.
Never.
This is your best friend.
There's no reason for all that. And especially since, like, I mean, he's out here in California. I live in Texas now, but he lives
long distance. There we go. Okay.
But even when I was like right down the street, and he could just go home. There's no need for sleepovers.
I'm sorry, but if it's your best friend, he should have best friend. He should be able to see you in a bra, say, "Oh, you're looking fat," and he should have best friend abilities. Like this is not best friend.
He has to be a gay best friend for
There's
that.
certain things that are only for your partner, and even the women don't see it.
So you don't think you okay? You don't have a female best friend that's seen you in a bra?
I do, but as you get older, it's just like there's really no need for all of that. Like, I don't know. I go home. I'm pretty boring. Like, I'll go out to eat with my girlfriends. I'll be home by 10. Like, there's no coming over, lingering around, changing and doing all this extra stuff. It's very like cutthroat. We're going
straight to the point.
Yeah, like there's no extra lingering and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe it's just as you get older. But when I was younger, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like as I get older, like, I mean, you know, I feel like as I get older, you know, no homo and no offense, but like I see like more of my friends have seen me in like my underwear, because if like a friend is over and we're about to go out and I don't like the pants I'm in, I have no problem.
Change real quick.
Just changing my pants real quick, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like when I was younger, it's like, yo, bro, like, you know, you're afraid, you're kind of afraid of coming off as gay or whatever, and you're like, yo, man, go over there and put on my pants.
Interesting. All right.
When I was younger, it was like we got cheer together, we got track together, we got this together, we're changing together. And now it's like we don't have any hobbies together. I get dressed in the morning and we see each other for 2 hours at the end of the day. So so it's not all that.
I think when you go back to Cali, hit him up, put these little shorts on, put this to the test. I'm sensing my spidey sense.
If your man is watching this, it's E Black saying it. It's not me. But hey, I'm still curious to learn how this experiment does work out, though. Yeah, I'm not championing it, but I'm curious to see the results.
You know what? We'll do another video tomorrow.
For sure. You know what? Honestly, when we do another video, I am curious for you to talk to that best friend, that male best friend, that lingering male best friend, and ask him how his dating experiences have been. Now that you're hearing a lot more of the guy's opinion, now that you're hearing a lot more, because now you're seeing the guy's point of view of all this. Mm-hmm. And I would say generally men think relatively the same.
Generally.
So yeah, generally, we're all pretty much like, you know, Kevin Samuels, sex sandwich silence. That's it. Like, you know, it's boring, but
I'd be interested to see what happens if Madison were to ask him, like, if she were available, would he date her?
Oh,
I don't know if that's a, you know, a loaded question, but
I know, right?
He'll probably play it off, but trust me, I you know what? Send him a picture.
Let's there's some lines, bro. There's some lines. You're clearly trying to run over it with like a 16-wheeler.
No, send him a picture and be like, does this look nice on me? And what is his reaction? Like, if you have to, like, you can't sit there and put him in a spot to where he's like, oh no, that's cool. But give him enough bait to where he's, you know.
I'll do a test. I'll group chat all of you, and we'll come back.
There we go. We'll come back. The part two. How to embarrass a man. Part 2.
I know.
As long as you don't say his name.
How to lose your friend zone.
I'm trying to free all my brothers, man.
I'm curious though. I'm genuinely curious, Maddie. Do women take it like offensively when they hear that like their male best friend would actually sleep with them if given a shot?
Embarrassed? I don't think I would be. I mean, just because I think like, okay, we're all human at the end of the day, and we do have like, you know, a lot of things that are natural desires, needs, wants. And so it's like, okay, that's not too far-fetched considering we're all imperfect and have needs. I don't think I would be offended. I think I'd be like, that makes sense. Like listening to you guys talk about it, I'm kind of like, okay, that makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes sense. It does. So I wouldn't be offended. Okay. I wouldn't be offended, but.
What did this guy say? Facts. He would try to bone. That's just it. Most guys would. We'll
test over. Now I
know.
All right. So on to the next question, guys. I'm enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this combo between you guys. Next question. If communication is important while dating, can you constructively criticize without offending? E-Black.
I like that. This was one of the questions I really liked, you know. Because I'm in a relationship, and you know, all throughout our relationship, you know, we all were able to critique each other. You know, I was telling her, you know, hey, your friends are trash, and she would tell me that, you know, some of my friends are trash, or you're not, you know, polite enough at certain times, or this communication is definitely key, and being able to hear criticism is definitely a great attribute of a healthy relationship. You know, there's a difference between degrading a person, but then there's also a great point in which you want to be constructively criticizing a person. Hey, you know, you're slacking in one area, you need to pick it up. Or I noticed this. Is this really how you feel or how you're going to operate in the future? So it's, you know, you can't take things personal, but then also you have to open up your heart to understand that most people care about things. But sometimes some people are projecting. For instance, I may say, Madison, I don't like your hair. But that's because my mom might have had short hair. You know, that's projection. You know, there's things that may be subconsciously that I'm trying to actually use to get you to do or say or whatever. But I think for the most part, you have to be open-hearted to what's actually being said. So, I'm sorry if I'm long-winded, but I kind of wanted.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I want this. I want you to get out your thoughts and lay it all out on the table. X, what do you think of that?
I think, I mean, I agree with E Black. I think ideally you should be able to constructively criticize your partner. And if you're in a situation where you're trying to constructively criticize your partner and they get offended, then that's a representation of them and their ability to take constructive criticism. And obviously not everyone is able to receive constructive criticism, and not everyone knows how to constructively criticize. I think that's ultimately you have to work, like E-Black said, that you can't degrade the person.
But can you constructively criticize without offending, though? That's the question. Can you constructively criticize without offending?
I think you can. I think you
really
can.
Okay.
Well, I mean, ultimately, there's a delivery, right? There's a saying that goes, "It's not what you say, but how you say it." So, if you find the right way to communicate what it is that you want the person to receive, then you'll achieve not offending that person and them understanding what it is that you want them to change, or what they should change to become a better person for themselves or for you. But like I said, if you don't know how to find the right words to constructively criticize someone, then you're going to offend them. Or, if you're the type of person that tries to find, the offense in things, then you're going to be offended by the sweetest talker. You know what I mean? So, but ultimately, my answer to the question is yes. I think if you're an effective communicator, you'll be able to criticize someone without offending them, and vice versa. If you're an effective communicator and you understand communication, you'll be able to take criticism and not be offended.
So this person just brought up a good point, and that's what I was going to say next as an example. So how could you tell someone? How could you criticize someone who is fat without offending them? How could you tell someone to lose weight without offending them?
We talk about, I mean, that is a tough one.
Yeah. See, put it in that context. Now
but it's like, I've in this situation, I feel like I've read this before. The best way to go about it is like let's work out together. Let's I want to better my health. I want you to be healthy. Let's go and live a healthy lifestyle. Obviously, you're not gonna say, hey, listen, you're way too fucking fat. Let's go run some, let's go run some laps.
All right, easy on the cheeseburgers. All right, just let it know like that. Just flat out. Lay off the White Castle.
If you tell a person, hey, I think we both need to live a healthier lifestyle. Let's go to the gym together. That's something I want to do with you.
Are you calling me fat?
Well, that's the person looking for the offense in the words that you're providing.
You know what? I think just being in a relationship and starting a relationship is, you're going to have to offend that person. I think it's just like people are going to get upset. That's a part of a relationship. And you're learning about each other. You're learning how to talk to each other, how to communicate. You're two different people trying to combine and amalgamate your lives together. So I think it's like, yes, people are going to get offended. And I'm someone, I always Google words, even though I know what it means. So like offended means to get upset. People get upset in relationships. I think it's how you get over it, how you get through it. You don't have to be upset and ruin the whole day. But, if someone tells me I'm fat, of course I'm going to be upset. But, do I get over it and start working out? Do I get through it and say, you know what, you're right, I do need to do that? I mean, you're not going to be happy and say, yeah, I am fat. Let's go to the gym. You're going to get offended. And I think that's what relationships are about. You're telling somebody how you like to be treated, vice versa. You're learning each other's love language. There's things that are not going to necessarily sit right with you. I think the thing is, yeah, you can get offended, but don't build offense. So then you cut yourself off from that person and you're not allowed to get through things together.
Mm-hmm. Now you're a model, right?
Yes.
Well, obviously you're a model, I should say, but you're so you take a lot of criticism. How's that been going for you?
Oh yeah. I try to be very honest with myself, and of course, there's different situations in life that'll come up where you're not so honest with yourself. But when I first started modeling, I was like, you know what? I feel kind of boring. I'm afraid to step out my comfort zone. And then when photographers kind of started alluding to that, I was like, okay, I need to do better. I need to be better. It wasn't necessarily like, oh shoot, well, I shouldn't do this. It was like, well, let me just, try to be better. And so I took that criticism as helpful and constructive.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I was offended, and of course I was upset, but I geared that anger, if you want to say, to elevate and to do better and to not just allow myself to quit. I think it's what you do with what you're presented is what matters.
Ultimately, what you're saying is like we shouldn't be afraid to offend the other person if we have to.
Conversation is being offensive. Like, I don't know what you think or she thinks. If I say I love God and I worship Him every day and that might offend somebody. I mean, we live in a world where people get offended. If I say I'm a woman and I love my man, that might be like, someone might be like, no, you're not a woman, you're cisgender. Like,
you're cisgendered, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's very offensive.
You're a birth giver. They're trying to change the language from mother to birthing person.
It's a birth. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
We risk offending each other with conversation every day. I think on a relationship, it's just a deeper level where you have to learn how to get through it and walk yourself off.
So there was something I was thinking about when I came up with this question, and the whole idea is that when you're constructively criticizing someone, you're trying to pattern disrupt. So they have a specific pattern that is not going in a healthy way. Yeah. You're noticing it; they haven't noticed it yet. So you have to shock them back into reality. If you're shocking someone out of their reality, out of their pattern, it's going to be offensive. And that's why I say in dating, when you're dating someone, obviously you're seeing a future with them. You're going to have to risk offending them to try to make them better.
Yeah.
If you want your partner to be better, they're going to have to understand that you're not doing this out of malice, but out of to make them better, to make them a better partner, a better wife, a better husband.
I agree that you shouldn't be afraid to offend the person, and sometimes you do have to shake them up to kind of so that they do make a certain change. But I also do think that you can criticize someone without offending them. You know what I mean? Like, for instance,
I think when if the whole point for you is to try to get change, if you're trying to make change happen, offense is going to be taken because you're now changing that person's lifestyle and view.
Let's say, for instance, Madison has this middle part in her hair, and if I didn't like it, I tell her, hey, and if I was her boyfriend, I'd say, hey, babe, take your hair and go this way with it. Let's see what it looks like. She might do it, the other way, and look in the mirror and say, you know what, I like that. I'm gonna wear my hair like that from now on.
Or she might not like it. Then what?
Or she might not like. Well, at that point, then I have to say, you know what, I do like it better. I've been wanting to tell you, I want you to to change up your hairstyle. I think then that's when you risk offending. But if she did like it, then we made the change without any offense being taken, because she might have just changed her hairstyle and say, oh, I like it. I feel I'm more attractive. I feel more sexy.
I think no matter what your delivery is, you can't change the reaction of the other person. You can be as sweet as possible. Someone always used to tell me, you could be the sweetest apple and there'll still be someone who doesn't like apples. You always have to take into consideration, no matter how much you are trying to have a smooth delivery, someone just might be sensitive, and the majority of the time that's what happens. People are sensitive.
You have good intentions behind it. You have good intentions behind everything that you're trying to do. But I think at a certain point, when you're trying to help someone, when you're trying to pattern disrupt them, it's gonna shock them. It's gonna shock them. They might be offended. They might be hurt. But in the end of the day, if they need to lay off the cheeseburgers, they need to get some more carrots in their diet. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Throw a
ultimately,
strawberry
I
in the
do
face.
agree that sometimes that is the most effective way to get someone to make the change is by offense. I worked. I had a job. Obviously, this is not relationship situation, but I worked in a barber shop. Where my coworker, I was pretty heavy at the time, and one of my coworkers called me fat boy, and I was offended by it. I was angry at it, but he looked at
Sparks
me
change.
But he said, he looked at me, he was like, what, you're not, I got mad. I looked at him. He said, what, you're not fat? And I'm like,
The truth hurts.
yeah. And also, and it did spark me to, and I'm not, it might have not been just that situation, but that is definitely one of the keys.
That was really what kind of shattered your view right there. It's kind of like, okay, this is a little bit of a bigger deal than what I think. And that's what I say, like when it's time to pattern disrupt, it's not so much that you're doing something that you don't notice, but you're doing something that it's like you notice, but you haven't really given it much thought or much focus yet until someone now puts it in front of your face, like, hey, look, you got to do something about this.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I guess I really have to do something about this now, because it's offensive that they pointed it out to you, but it's like, all right, fair.
But you can also be like, yeah, I am fat, and what I like my cheese.
But then that's like ignorance. That's blissful ignorance. That's like I want to be that. That's like willingful ignorance, right?
Yeah,
that's probably what I'm trying to say.
Well,
maybe.
I mean, excuse me, or just acceptance. You know what I mean? Like, willingful ignorance, but you may be. It may not necessarily be ignorance. You might know that you're fat. You might know that you have an unhealthy lifestyle, but you choose. Some people look at it like, you know what? I'm gonna go anyway. I might as well go out eating cheeseburgers. You know what I mean? Like, not that I agree with that point, but there are people who live that way. There's people who.
Yeah, they are. I mean, there are people that are living wrong. I will say that. There are people that, like, as I've grown through life, I'm learning that listen. I still got a lot more growing to go, but I know that there's good ways to do something. There's bad ways to do it, and there's sometimes you got to point out, listen, what you're doing is just not good.
Yeah.
And if you're dating somebody, you have to also say, hey, your attitude is trash. We're not gonna make it beyond to where we want to go. So you need to change a couple of things. I love you, or I care for you, but you need to change a couple of things, or else I don't see myself in this relationship further. So that's a good way of in terms of dating wise. If that person says, you know what, I'm an attitude,
then it's like, okay, that's fine, that's fair.
That's fine.
Good luck.
But sometimes it takes time for people to change. So but like I said, as long as you're communicating, that will always be better than not communicating.
Yeah. Ultimately, communicate. Whether you do, I do agree. You have to risk offending your partner if you want to succeed in the relationship. Because if there is no open communication, then
someone's lying. If there's no disagreement, then there's no discussion or constructive criticism, then someone is lying. I guarantee you that. Because
listen, when I was younger and I first started dating, all I worried about was kind of like, honestly, I just would like keep them happy. Don't mess up anything at the risk of my own happiness for the longest time, until I started understanding, like, okay, if everyone cares about themselves and I only care about everyone, who's actually going to care about me?
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to eventually start caring about myself before I can actually properly care about others.
Definitely. You have to look at yourself as worthy to receive the type of person you want to receive, and in order to do that, you do have to care for yourself and love yourself.
Yeah. All right. So I got one more video before the last question, and then we will call it a night. I see some people are holding back their yawns, so calm down, people. All right.
It's still early for me.
I definitely should have ate something before I.
So, Madison, right. you're in California right now, you said, or Texas?
California right now, but just visiting.
And E Black, where are you?
I'm in Texas.
Texas.
Oh,
yeah.
Had to learn the different time zones for you guys.
Me and Madison are gonna be best friends.
It's early.
Whoa. We just said there's no friends. All right, we just went over this. No new friends. Right?
Too much today. Okay.
Are you seeing why?
All right. This video is Hafiz from the Roommates podcast, and he's talking to Kevin Samuels, and especially since this is obviously I want to bring a lot more women on this channel that could give a lot more of the women's point of view to help them grow as well. But to the guys, here's kind of like some really good words that I found that could help.
Let's make him 30. Okay, 30-year-old guy. He's staying at home. He working at fast food joint, making 18 to 22,000 a year. Okay. Not a lot of confidence, not a lot of skill sets, but he wants to be a leader. He wants to have a happy relationship, and he wants to leave a legacy. What is your advice to a man in that position?
Stop digging. You already did stop digging. First thing, I'm big on therapy, but if you're in a position where you don't have a lot of money right now, every company you work for has an employee assistance line. You need somebody to talk to. We're not in a church like we used to be. Find someone who's a consultant pro bono. The second thing, because it has to start with the head. We can't get the head right, we get nothing. Second, he's working full-time at a fast food place. Good, I need you to have another part-time job. Because you're making $14 an hour at McDonald's, you can go over to On Q or Circle K or a convenience store, make another $14 an hour. $14 an hour one place is $28,000 1 year. Then another 14, that's $42,000. Then you can actually be in a position to move out of your mama's house, move into an all-furnished apartment, get you a little sugar shaker or a bike, and get out there and start doing something. See, men, we have to work. I cannot hear that I'm broke, and then you're only working 40 hours a week. That does not compute with me. You gotta work. You gotta work and you're getting paid for the hours. You know, here's the thing that tends to start correct themselves. Once a man puts himself in a position where his head's a little bit on straight, and it does not have to be perfect. You can't wait till this is perfect. You got to do all these things at the same time. Start getting your head on, getting your head together, get the hours up, and then you have to get a skill set. College ain't for everybody. It's not everything everyone needs. Get a trade. There are plenty of things to do. What is going to be useful? Get a trade in something that's going to be useful. We have to get back to where we value blue collar labor. You know, I'm a big proponent of blue collar. I call them blue Henrys. You know, yeah, the white collar.
Break down what does Henry mean for the people who don't know.
Henry is high earner, not rich yet. That came from Forbes. And see, the white collar men get all the shine, but you know, white collar men, it's a longer path, takes more to get to the end, and most small business owners are blue collar. Plumbers, electricians, HVAC technicians, truck drivers who own a logistics firm. There's a lot of opportunities. We mentioned Gary Vee. He wasn't a great student. He's a multimillionaire and owns one of the most prolific social media firms in the world. Get your head right, get your money, get you some sort of certification or skill to where you can actually start making yourself of use, because fast food is not a long-term thing. Then you got to start networking with other people and start working together. When you work with a group of people, one of the reasons my career went the way it was is because I was with a group of 7 people to where we all moved each other up. I only want you in the house sleeping, showering, and on the bathroom. And there's no reason to be at home. You got to get the work done, because here's the thing. Do that for at least 5 years. Put your head down, work your butt off, and you will look up and the rest of your life will be brighter possibilities. You have more potential and brighter possibilities you ever thought you could have. Or if you continue to do what you do, you're going to continue to get what you got. And now you'll have no one else to blame but yourself, because at least now you've been given the direction. Now, from that point on, you make adjustments. But I'm a big proponent in your rat pack, your group of guys you hang around with, mentoring and coaching. But those two things require resources and money. Everything else I gave you is just up to you. That's the underlying thing. But if you are doing your work, following your why, your life will be fulfilling enough to where you can, whatever you attract, you'll attract like-minded people. And you'd be surprised that women are even drawn to that. But it doesn't have to, women should not be the reason. They should be the add-on. They're the help me. They're there to be, I hate to use this term, but I will. They're an add-on for you. And see, when you grow up without a father or that kind of thing, we're trying to please mom so much. So guys get lost in that. So they take their eye off their purpose and they start trying to do this. And that's too much pressure to be over there. See, more men need to be around other men. If we have to build an organization, we are going to rank ourselves. Someone has to be the CEO, CFO, CIO, the regional manager, this, that, and the workers. We have learned how to work together by ranking ourselves, and there's no problem in ranking. You can have even like on YouTube, it goes in cycles. You may be hot, but how can you be helpful or useful to somebody else? And men have to realize that you gain more gratification out of life by working with others, working with other men. And that's really what attracts women, because the average everyday guy who's working with another guy, he's making bagels, you making peanut butter, you making jelly, you making bread, y'all making sandwiches. Guess what? Y'all so busy making sandwiches. Next thing the women in the village are like, because you're making $14 an hour.
There we go. That is, I want to say the last bit of message to the men before we drop to the last question, which is, what should more men, women start doing to get the outcomes that they want? So after all that we've spoken about here, I think we went over a lot, and I think we shared with a lot of good back and forths. What would you guys say is your parting message to the men and women out there to start getting more of what they want, start getting into happier relationships, start actually getting to a marriage, getting to a place like Madison E. Black? What would you put out there to everyone?
Do you want to go, Madison, or you want me to go?
You can go ahead.
Okay.
Is this Texas like thing here? All right, all right. Come on.
It makes sense.
We're on a Jersey channel right now. Come on.
You learn a couple of things in marriage. Let the women go. But no, for me personally, I look at all of my life, and I think what Kevin Samuel said was exactly right. You take 5 years and you live in your purpose, and you put your head down and you look up, and even if you don't complete your tasks, you will find yourself further down the line. I'm starting to take CrossFit, and it's the same thing. It's like, you just put your head down and you'll see the results down the line. Those are things that are across the board what society has to do, living in your purpose, sacrificing, and then not only that, putting things in order. You have to put things in order sometimes. You have to understand that I started off at point A, but I want to get to point B, to point C, to point D. But what does that look like? How do I position those things in that order? And once you're able to do that, you'll find yourself with a laser focus on the things that are necessary. I think he also said something about using your network. That could be either professional, but then your friends have to be an increase in your network. You cannot have bad friends in helping you increase your own self. You have to have good friends, and people with good energy, and then not only that, you have to have people who are not going to willingly take energy from you that is not warranted or not helping you increase yourself. And that's why I think, like I said, with Madison and her friend, I said, he's spending a lot of time probably giving the energy and taking away the lack and focus that he could do to find himself a mate, and it may be a little harsh, but I think that happens sometimes, and I think that does happen. I think you have a best friend, and you just lose focus on what's most important, rather because there is no future. Like I'm hoping he'll be at the wedding, but
All right. There's a part two. We're doing a part two, all right? All right. Maddie's gonna do the test. We're gonna have that part two happen, and we're gonna hear the stories. We may laugh, we may cry. He may cry.
Like on the wedding, I'm telling you, he's not gonna come. I think he's gonna be like, "Oh, my dad."
No. Listen, there's movies about guys like that. That's the I object. Yeah. I always loved you. Like one of those guys.
Or they find someone at the wedding.
Oh, okay. That's the hopeful way of looking at it. Sure.
But if he's a ring bearer, then we gotta talk to this guy. But not only that, just have confidence, be secure in yourself that you are ultimately making the best decision for yourself. There is no other person that has a greater perspective of your needs. So, rewind what I said and take and kind of condense it. But, I think with those things, I think you'll see better outcomes in your thing. There's no guarantees in life. I can't guarantee you an outcome, but I can tell you what will more than likely get you to where you're at a better position and you're at least happy that you've done the work.
All right. So, Maddie, in the same question towards you, I guess, speaking to your younger self out there watching a channel like this, what would you be telling your younger self?
Well, to the women in general, I don't know what I would really tell my younger self. I would take some thinking, but to the women in general, I would say, I guess to my younger self too, that understand that men and women are different. Because I think we come into this kind of competing phase where we're like, oh no, I need to be the provider and I need to do this and I need to do that. And then we see that it's not sustainable. There's a lot of older single women without kids. And, we go through our 20s like, oh, I want to be equal with men. But then we end up alone for a long period of time. So I would say, understand that men and women are different and that it's okay. And if you want to be in a relationship and you want to be in a specific dynamic where you're with a provider, I would say just tap into your femininity. Understand that, it's okay to be soft and kind and smile and be loving. I think that's what makes a woman very feminine, when you just tap into your nurturing side. And then just to, set smart goals. I believe it's like specific, measurable, attainable, timely, and I think I spelled smart wrong. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic.
Where did you get that?
My sister was in this financial thing, and she always told me, set smart goals, and she would tell me the acronym all the time. And
But
so
can you say it again?
specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Because sometimes we have goals that are just all over the place and we don't know how we're going to get to them. And like E Black said, you need to have a plan. So have a plan, understand who you are as just a woman in general, and then understand yourself as well. I think that, that would be a good step into the right direction.
X, any parting words you'd like to tell?
Can we get a hand clap for that? Can we?
Oh, of course.
That was internet gold right there. You right there.
E Black's real name is.
Come on, you got it. You got it.
Ernest.
There you go. There you go.
It's Ernest.
Ernest.
Okay.
Yeah. Like my brother.
My parting words are always focus on being the best version of yourself, and only compete with yourself, and know what, live in your purpose, know what your purpose is. Ultimately, when you don't know, where you're going, then you can't really be the best version of yourself.
Let me ask you this, paired with that, what you're saying. What
Mhm.
about those young guys out there? Because we're not talking guys our age. We're talking younger guys. We're talking guys probably high school, coming out of high school. What parting words did you get to them? Because working in purpose it makes sense to us, but for them, working on your purpose, it might not be as clear as what we look at
Well,
it now.
I think is start to come to an understanding what your purpose is, because ultimately that I think that should always be our goal, is trying to figure, because speaking to my younger self, I think that I might have always known my purpose, but might have been confused about it, because I might have, because another thing I want to say is, to my younger self is, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. Meaning, you could do anything you put your mind to, but you can't do it all at once. I myself, I have, growing up, I had a lot of interests. You can see, like, I have all these instruments behind me, and I kind of try to become a jack of all trades. And luckily for me, I am a master barber, and that ultimately has provided for myself. And I'm close to, very close to opening up my own barbershop that I've been envisioning for a long time. But ultimately, like, I like what Madison said as far as the whole smart thing, because what I like the most is timely, because everyone does have their own time. I know I myself, like I said before, like, compete with yourself only, because when you look at other people and you see that other people are making steps that are further than yours, you have to kind of understand that they have a different experience in life. And so ultimately you have to lay back and just focus on the steps that you're making, even if it's slow, as long as you're moving forward, that's what's most important. Even if you take 2 steps back, make sure you take 3 steps forward, at the minimum, so that you can feel good about yourself. Because ultimately, if you keep taking steps back, or you stay stagnant in the same place, it's going to be hard for you to achieve anything. I mean, I think what Kevin Samuel said in that bit you played is ultimately, is beautiful. Like, you take at any point in life, no matter where you find yourself, if you say, okay, well, I may be at point A, be happy, be happy with getting to point B in 5 years, if it takes that long. Like I said, I think ultimately is do things at your own pace, but move forward.
Nice. I like that. To the young guys out there, I would definitely say a lot more of start understanding that you're going to have to work in life, and that's not a bad thing. Working is not a bad thing. You work to grow yourself. You work to understand yourself a lot more, and start surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Start building your own community, your own pack. Especially as a young person, it's very easy to fall into the trap of, oh, these are my friends because they're my day ones. Even if they don't agree with you on a lot of things, they're trying to put you down if you're trying to step out of your comfort zone. Those are the people that you got to start noticing and start cutting out. Really start trimming the fat out of your life and start building your life to how you want it to be. And just like Kim Samuels was saying, you got to start getting people around you. You got to start getting coaches, mentors, friends that are moving in the same directions, friends that are trying to better themselves too, because now you guys can actually lift each other up. And that working lifestyle, it's tough when you're doing it alone. It's going to be tough. But when you have other people around that are eagerly going towards that same trajectory, it becomes a lot more fun, because now you guys can bounce ideas back and forth towards each other. And now all you really think about, it doesn't become work anymore. It's a lot more fun. You guys are building together now.
I want to add something to that point. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah,
but,
go for it.
It's ultimately, someone once gave me advice, like, you choose friends that you would trade places with. You understand? So, like, if you see that person's life and you'd happily take their place, then that means that's a good friend for you. And if the answer is no, I wouldn't want to trade places with this person, then you have to kind of analyze, well, is this person willing to make improvements to themselves? Because you can't always just take or learn from people. Sometimes you have to be that. Sometimes you have to be the example. And so it's okay to have a friend that's not on your level as long as they're willing to be that person.
Correct. And definitely keep growing with those people, and keep growing with those people, keep cultivating ideas with those people, and really, especially young guys, start understanding that you got to be working on friendships as well. As guys, we focus far too much on how many women we could actually go out and get with, and we focus less on how to actually cultivate our friends with our actual friends that we want. We'll put more effort in trying to get a girlfriend and less effort in actually hitting your friend up on their birthday to actually take them out on a drink and actually have a real genuine conversation with them about their life, about how their family's doing, about their girlfriend, about their car, about their issues, have laughs together, and share real good, genuine ideas and goals together. Because cultivating those will make you builds a lot more of your character, and it builds a lot more of your growth. And through doing that, really, you start becoming a much happier person. And when you're a much happier person, you can attract a lot more of that female that you would want in your life as a young man out there. And people like Maddie can actually give the women a lot better advice than I probably could, because I can't do everything. But, that's my advice to the young guys out there. But as for today, guys, I really enjoyed you joining me on the panel today. Thank you very much.
Can I give one shout out to my wave game? I just want to make sure this is it's a very hard thing to maintain.
It's on fleek.
Look, I'm gonna work with you, Clement, man. I'm gonna have to get you. Look, I got some products that we can work.
Listen. It's all right. It's all right. I'll keep my button up and everything like that. All right. That'll be my thing. That's my thing. That's me.
Look. You should at least have a honeycomb, bro. I'm gonna work with you.
X is a barber. He'll hook me up.
Hey, I mean, got some. You got a little.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit there. I'm working on it.
X, you a barber? You gonna sit here the whole podcast and not say?
You know what? I did notice Kevin Samuel's shape up was looking.
Yo, that was pinpoint, man.
Like Steve Harvey-ish in his hair.
He might take that as an offense, but hey.
Like Steve Harvey's thing was like a hairpiece for most of that time. So Kevin Samuels looks like he's working with some.
It's real hair.
With real hair.
Fine, like that is. Yeah, he's looking like a fresh Platano, bro. He's on point. But guys,
he might be paying like $200 per cut because you don't get angles like that on a consistent basis.
If somebody's paying me $200 per cut, I'm definitely making sure
that guy's gonna look crisp
like that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm sorry, Madison. We just
Yes, I'm actually gonna say it now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for jumping into the podcast. Thank you so much. Thanks to the panel. E Black, Xavier, Maddie, you guys have been great. And let's call it a night.
Yes, sir. It was a pleasure being on. It was a pleasure meeting you guys.
Take care.
All right.
Hey, Maddie, check your Instagram.
They know they shouldn't have let me start speaking my mind in the booth. Start speaking the truth. Might get shot for it. But MLK did too.
Look to the sky, ask God why. Innocent lives have to die. One thing I know, a flower will grow once you plant the seed inside your soul.
Now we could paint the perfect picture without belittling each other. Cause under God's system we really one another's brother. And the system set up just to make one another struggle. Work it out like we gaining muscle. I done seen Flip, Michigan in the inner cities. They pissing in project buildings that got a roof that leaks, resulting in missing ceilings. Hard to sleep. Children going to schools dealing issues deep. Teacher got the nerve to ask what's the feeling. He got up and started lashing out. See, it's a start. Physical display and mental destruction. Yeah, nah, that's the art. Politician, government instructing you to do your part. It ain't hard to see they trying to keep black in the back, just like Rosa Parks. Cops shooting blacks as if they get a token from God. School rob you would need a resource, but you finance like cars. Too many of us worrying about what we be spending at bars, while queens are done playing themselves through the subconscious mirage. And here I was a young boy just praying to get a menage with two of the baddest Nickies, hoping they shift my stick like some cars. And when you're lonely in your darkest thoughts come, I know it's hard, but God shines his light on all I play their part, and it's the start.
Look to the sky, ask God why innocent lives have to die. One thing I know, a flower will grow once you plant the seed inside your soul.
I'm a poet and the best part of me shows it. Here to speak the message, what is known but not what it takes, expose it. Listen closer as I take you on a mental path. See divisions, the math, hoping we clash on lower levels just like in the past. Before we begin to see spared lives, keep in mind the first 3 letters of unity starts with you and I. And maybe then we can all thrive, changing the narratives of our lives, finding belief from inside. We gotta come together, different feathers, and we fly together despite any weather, evolving up forward just like propellers, using negatives to fuel positives. How we change the mark, just like taking the devil's flames just to warm the coldest heart. Mama knew it from the start. DC mode would be a spark to lead the light that works its way out, illuminate through the dark. Funny cause my skin is dark despite the stereotypes exemplify brilliance, cause I found that genius within my mind. You see words create worlds when you use the term tear. Your mind takes what it sees and mimics that just like a mirror. So if we change the way we speak conscious, the energy we give, we'll have a world full of positive word of jigger. Can I live?
Look to the sky, ask God why